With Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm Connections coming out this year, I decided to go back to one of my favorite, if not my favorite, Storm game in the series and do something I've never done before, which is a challenge run. Naruto is a franchise that I've always had a special place in my heart, and it was my friends that actually got me into Naruto and anime as a whole. This is can you beat Naruto Shippuden Ultimate Ninja Storm 3 without any physical damage? The rules are simple for this. 1. Punching, kicking, and grabbing and tilts are not allowed. Some characters have an exception to this rule like Gaara, but I'll explain that when the time comes up. 2. No ultimates are allowed due to the fact that ultimates in this game just do a lot of damage, especially if you land it raw, so I'm just gonna straight up ban them. 3. I can only use one non-physical ninjutsu per fight. Rasengans, fireballs, and stuff like that are included, but stuff like Shidori, because it's like a hand type of thing and that is pierced through the body, and Cherry Blossom class is not allowed. 4. We can't stay far from the opponent. This rule is just kind of like a personal of mine because I didn't want it to make it too easy if I just stay away. The only exception to this rule is giants, multiple opponents at once, and one specific boss I'll talk about later, and that's really about it. And the final rule is any scripted actions in the game does not count towards the challenge. I'll explain on some of these scenarios when they come out. For the sake of the video, I will be skipping some bits in the story, but I will be talking about it because it just makes more sense in terms of how the challenge works and what game I'm playing. But yeah, if you ever watch like Naruto or even play the games, then I guess click off, but Naruto's been out for so long, you kind of know what you're getting into watching this video. So we start with the Nine Tails attacking the Leaf due to the Masked Man, and we see the 4th Hokage Minato stopping the Tail Beast bomb and meeting with the Masked Man, and now we have to choose our path that we want to take in this fight. Paths allow you to get certain items from the hero path or the legend path upgraded to become stronger and have multiple uses in a fight. This will pop up multiple times throughout the game, so we can always just choose whatever path we want. I choose legend route because there are some items I would like to test later on. I would be cutting and speeding up a lot of the fights due to me being limited with Share Factory, so even using the max speed up could look a little choppy at times. If you want to see the specific fight uncut, let me know down below and I'll think of something. This fight is basically what I have to do in just about every fight of the run. Our main source of damage is kunai, or shurikens, and as you can see, even with sped up footage, it does so little damage, so each of the fight will always take around 4 to potentially 16 minutes or plus depending on the fight. I do take way more damage than I would like to in this fight. I mentioned this because there is a part 2 to this fight, and we keep the same health as we did in part 1. But with me staying mid-range from the Masked Man, I eventually get him low enough to trigger the cutscene, and then we transition to the 3rd Hokage in the Hidden Leaf Village about to take on the Nine Tails. The fight is pretty simple. You're just jumping around rooftops doing damage when you can, and since you have supports that shoots fireballs, we can use them in this fight. There would be moments when you stun the Nine Tails, and normally you would go up to his face and mash circle or the equivalent of the attack button to do some good damage. But instead, we will just be using Demon Wind Shurikens and our charged throwables, which is our Phoenix Flower Jutsus, is what I'm gonna call it. And before somebody says, it's a jutsu, it's not, because on the bottom right or left of the screen, whatever side it was, you will see, like, if a jutsu is being used, it will display the name or the ultimate. So, I don't think this counts at all. At some point in the fight, Choji's dad, I forgot his name right now, will show up in the fight, waiting on you to get to him for help. The problem with that is he will do a physical move, and since this is an optional choice, I would just ignore him and just take down the Nine Tails by myself with my supports. Other than that, we just spamming and dodging when necessary, get his health low, and get the cutscene of the village shooting the Nine Tails down. Then we cut back to Minato versus the Masked Man. As I stated earlier, we keep the same health as last time, so we have to play a little bit careful in this fight so we don't have to like retry from the beginning potentially. I do the same thing as before, but I decided to awaken and use Defying Raijin level 2, and that leaves me with no more jutsus to use in this fight. I could try to trigger the secret action by chakra dashing to the Masked Man, but I decided not to because in Storm 3, and I'm not sure about any of the other Storm games, sometimes when you do a chakra dash, it does damage. In some fights in the story, it doesn't do damage. I don't know what's the difference or why that's the case, but since chakra dashing would be a physical move and I didn't want to risk it, I just decided not to do it. Towards the end of the fight, I did run out of subs, so it was just me just stalling and just waiting for my subs to come back, and after that happens, I do finish the Masked Man off. The Masked Man leaves afterwards, and we see Minato stare down the Nine Tails, and we finish the prologue. We cut to Naruto, Sakura, and Kakashi heading towards the Ichiraki Ramen, but was stopped by Kiba, explaining that Sasuke is now a criminal, and Dazude is the Hokage candidate because Ace Tsunade is currently out of commission and doing stuff. Naruto decides to try to reason with Danzo by going to the Hokage office, but Yamato gets in his way and now we have to fight him. Fighting Yamato in this game is very easy. His AI barely does anything, and overall, it's just me spamming Demon Wind Shurikens to kill him. There are a few fights where Yamato does pop up, and to be honest, for the sake of time, I will probably mention them and move on unless something unexpected happens. After the fight, Naruto explains that the masked man took Kakashi and Yamato, and they decide to go to the fight Kage summit to warn the Kages about the masked man and try to convince him not to kill Sasuke. On the way to the summit, they run into the Raikage, and Naruto tries to convince him to not kill Sasuke, but it doesn't work, and now we have to fight the Raikage. The only thing to worry about in this fight is that he has a permanent attack buff. So if I get hit by like a lariat or something and it does crazy damage, it's just not going to be good, and since I lost some health from the Yamato fight, we will be in a pretty critical situation if we let something like that happen. Overall, the Raikage, for some reason, just kept spamming his grabs and tilts throughout the fight, and I managed to defeat him with low health. The Raikage leaves, and then the masked man that claims himself to be Madara Uchiha shows up, and Naruto gets angry about Madara taking Sasuke, and now we have to fight him. Before the fight begins, I do use like a bento to mainly get my health back, but it does give like a small like attack buff. I will try not to use bentos that give massive buffs that much in the future to still have a challenge, but there may be at some point that like having a buff may help me complete something. So it's not against the rules, but I'm also not including it in the rules either. So this fight can go badly if you don't pay attention. Madara starts the fight off in his awakened state, and he will be that for the rest of the fight. And his most dangerous move by far is his grab. The grab teleports him above you, and you get hit, it does lots of damage to you. And on top of that, you can't block it because it's considered a grab. It is just not a fun thing to do with. We can use Yamato as a support because his jutsu is projectile, but we can't use Kakashi because he has lightning blade. What we can use though is when we have enough support gauge filled up, or the team gauge, Kakashi will provide cover fire and help us every time we do like a charge projectile. With all of this at our disposal, we do manage to defeat him, and I would have 100% died if I did not heal before this fight, by the way. I just wanted to point that out there. Then we cut to Sasuke or Team Taka infiltrating the Five Kage summit to kill Danzo, but the Raikage shows up, leading us into another fight with them. This time the Raikage got two supports with them. One shoots laser circuits that homes in on the opponent, and the other support is basically like a solar flare that would never hit me because I am staying far away from that support as possible. We can use Suigetsu in this fight because he has a water dragon, but the dragon is garbage for most of the time, so it almost feels like I don't even have a support in this fight. At one point the Raikage does awaken, and this is where he starts doing some damage to me by teleporting behind me, which did caught me off guard and did some big damage. I can't even damage it with kunais because of his awakened state, so I just have to stall and use my supports to try to do any damage. The awakening eventually does end, and the Raikage does get a lariat off afterwards, which puts me in critical health, but I managed to finish him off with a water dragon. After the fight, Gaara shows up to try to convince Sasuke to stop, which doesn't work because Sasuke is already too far gone by this point, and now we have to fight Gaara, Temari, and Kankuro. I do use the last bendo I have in this fight because I was probably going to die if I didn't, and if I did die, I think I would have had to redo the Raikage fight, so I just wanted to avoid that for the sake of time. Gaara has two supports that are pretty easy to avoid. Temari summons a gust of wind, and Kankuro uses his puppet to do blast bombs towards you, and you can either just do step backs or just block both of them. Gaara does like grabbing quite a few times and even doing tilts, and he also does awaken during this fight. I just use my supports to do damage since it's literally my only option. As I said, a lot of awakenings in this game, you can't even damage them with kunais. So I just have to run and just hope for the best. During the fight, I accidentally chakra dash at Gaara, as you will see in the footage. I did dash him again on purpose to see if it did damage, but it didn't in this fight. I just don't understand the chakra dash in this game. But other than that, after this awakening finish, I did finish him off. Sasuke decides to cut the pillars with a Susanoo and cut off everybody except for Karin, and then they decide to go look for Danzo. But first we have to deal with some samurai. So this fight I decided to go the hero route mainly because it's just to save time, and also we need hero points in the future anyways probably, so I just decided to go ahead and level that up. So for the hero route, you can skip like 95% of this mission, which we do because it would just be a waste of time. If I were to fight every samurai that you see me walking past right now, we will be here for probably over like 10 minutes killing each one. I'm gonna keep it real. We have Karin that can heal us, so we're at no risk of dying reeling, so we just go to the mandatory fight with the Red Samurai. Fun fact about this mob mission is what I'm gonna call it. I did not know you could actually lock on to the enemies by pressing L3 or R3, or I believe, one of those two buttons. I played this game like 6 times, and every time I played this mission, I didn't even try to see there was a lock on button. So I'll always fight with the trash camera angle. But anyways, I do use a jutsu during this fight, and here is one of the scripted moments in the game I was talking about. Once you knock down the Red Samurai, you have to press the button to finish him off, and Sasuke would do like a Susanoo grab into Shidori, which is physical. If you don't do it, he will just get back up with a certain amount of health, and it'll just repeat the same process over and over again. And so that's why I had to add in that rule, so we didn't have to really deal with that and all that jazz. After the fight ends, Sasuke then finds Danzo, then decides to go chase after him. But it's stopped by the Mizukage and we have to get past her. This fight is more annoying than anything. The Mizukage just spams her lava jutsu and also grabs as she sends in her supports. Both of her supports are melee, so you could just block one or both of them and she will probably just walk up and try to grab you. So I had to make sure I had subs to not deal with that at all. Other than that, she also spams tilts on occasion and it's not long till I defeat her. Sasuke then gets sent back to the Kage room and almost died by the particle style, but Madara saves him and then Madara basically announces the 4th Great Ninja War. Back over to Naruto, he wanted to think about Itachi because Madara told everybody the truth about Itachi, and we have a flashback of him and Itachi have a conversation, we have to fight. Itachi isn't anything special, this dude is programmed to run most of the time and just spam his tilts, which is his crows, and it's just overall annoying. He does like 2 fireballs towards the end of the fight, but I just finish him off. After the fight, Itachi puts a crow in Naruto's mouth. Pause! We cut over to Killer Bee running into Kisame and we have to deal with him. Kisame is actually the first semi-challenging opponent in this run. Kisame is actually very aggressive and he also got the Shark Screen as a weapon, giving him a decent amount of range for normal attacks. Because of that, he does catch me off guard quite a few times and I decided to awaken into the 8 Tails. I used my Jutsu Senses Rage, but the problem with that is that 8 Tails has such a huge hitbox. In reality, it just wasn't good transforming and I just take a lot of damage. After my transformation ends, Kisame burned through my studs and actually killing me, making this my first death of the run, which was kind of like my fault. But anyways, on the second attempt, I decided not to transform and just rely on everything else that I have from the items and just spamming shurikens. The book in the bottom corner also regens subs. Just in case I get into a bad situation, I run out of subs and I'm like going to die or take major damage. Towards the later half of the fight, Kisame does transform and he gets way more aggressive than he already is. And you can't even block against him because he just does so much damage to your guard and he will just break through it and do a ton of damage to you. Other than that, we just stall him out, try to survive, and once the transformation ends, I do end up finishing him off. After the fight, Killer Bee gets a shark skin, and we cut over to Naruto finding out what Sasuke did to the Five Kage Summit. Sakura's planning to try to kill Sasuke. Then Naruto Kakashi then find out because of Sais just basically snitched on Sakura, basically. And Naruto gets trapped in a wooden cage, so Naruto couldn't go after them. And now we cut over to Sai revealing Sakura's plan, and now we have to fight Sai as Sakura. This fight wasn't anything special. All that happened was I awakened so I could do more damage, and he also awakened. But he was already low at that time, so I just finished him up before he could really do anything with it. Sakura then puts everyone to sleep and then sets off to see Sasuke. We cut to Danzo losing his goons, and Madara brings Sasuke to have him get revenge for Itachi, and now we have to fight him. Danzo was actually pretty aggressive in this fight. There's a few times that he made me use all my subs and had to play a little defensive a couple of times. Eventually, Danzo and I lost a lot of health and we both ended up awakening at the same time. Now, a fun fact about Sasuke Susanoo, his tilt shoots an arrow, so since the arrows are basically projectile, I decided to rain down arrows while occasionally using lightning kunai to finish off Danzo. After the fight, Danzo took Kane hostage, but Sasuke shot her, and Danzo decided to try to run, but was stopped by Madara. Then he tried to sacrifice himself, but just utterly failed. Then we cut over back to Naruto wanting to see Sasuke, so he breaks out the cage and now we gotta fight Yamato again. As I stated earlier, the Yamato fights are basically as simple because the AI is trash, so we just gotta skip over it because nothing really interesting happened. We see Sakura meet up with Sasuke trying to trick him into thinking she wants to join so she can kill him, but that plan fails to no surprise and now we have to fight Sasuke. This fight, Sakura still has the same health as we did when we fought Sides, so I played the hero palette to get a small healing ointment just in case I needed it. The fight was mainly about trying to keep enough distance while making sure Sasuke doesn't awaken and nullify my kunais because of how the awakening would work. I ended up using all my items and eventually took Sasuke out using my awakening. And at this time we do unlock the 4 legend slot that allows us to use 4 items, but we'll talk more about that when it becomes more relevant. Right now it doesn't particularly matter, but obviously I wanted to mention it. Sasuke doesn't care about Sakura at all and is about to kill her for the first time, and I say the first time because it's gonna happen again shortly. But Kakashi comes through and stops Sasuke and they start fighting. We don't play this fight, so we just cut over to Kakashi Sasuke talking. Then we see Sakura behind Sasuke about to try to take Sasuke out, but couldn't do it because of her affection towards him. Just as Sasuke is about to kill Sakura, Naruto swoops in, and now Naruto approaches Sasuke, and we about to have the ultimate rivalry battle. Sasuke in the first phase, believe it or not, does not really do much. I mean, he gets a few hits in here and there, but it wasn't like how I was playing when I was Sakura, when he was just constantly rushing me down. It doesn't really take that long to trigger the cutscene where we have to choose a path. The hero route is just you find Sasuke as kids, and the legend route is when Naruto fought Sasuke at the hideout. I chose the legend route, and here is when we fight Sasuke, and it becomes a little interesting. So, Sasuke is basically the same as the first phase, but throughout the fight, he's just throwing random ultimates out of nowhere. It got to the point towards the end of the fight, he was literally just started spamming Chidori True Spear. Other than that, I do manage to trigger the final cutscene, and it's just doing quick time events and finally doing the iconic Rasengan versus Chidori. After the fight, Naruto says to Sasuke to bring all the hatred to him, and he has to fight him if he wants to attack the lead. Sasuke retreats from Madara and tells him that he's ready to implant Itachi's eyes while everyone else heads back to the leaf, ending that arc. We cut to the meeting with the 5 Kage, but with Lady Tsunade back as the Hokage. The Kages agreed that the 8 and 9 tails need to be hidden from the war to prevent Madara from attaining all the tail beasts. So they will have Naruto and Killer Bee stay at the Land of Lightning, so Naruto can learn how to control the 9 tails. As we get ready for the mission, my guy was waiting for Naruto, and now he wants to have a training match to gauge Naruto's strength. Fighting Guy was the scariest experience I had in this challenge so far. He automatically can awaken to his gates and do massive damage, and he's extremely quick. And on top of that, he's already very aggressive as it is. It got to a point I ended up doing this type of reaction.
Hey, chill, damn, chill, yo, I'm gonna die, dog. Yo, chill out. I'm about to be like, ain't no way, dog, die. Yo, my God.
After the battle, we see Kabuto and Madara talk about the war. Kabuto wants to make a deal. Madara originally refuses, but Kabuto showed Madara something interesting, and he promised to give Sasuke by the end of the war because he's gonna help him out. After that, we cut back to Naruto and Yamato heading for the Land of Lightning, and we meet Killer Bee for the first time. Naruto learns that Bee can control the 8 tails, so he asks to train him, but Bee tells Naruto to go face his darker self at the Waterfall of Truth. So we get to the Waterfall of Truth, Naruto meditates, and he meets his darker self. Dark Naruto is the Naruto's inner self, and he also works with the 9 tails. He starts talking about the whole
"We'll be asking the questions, old man. Who are you?"
You.
No, not me, you.
Yes, I am you.
and challenges Naruto to try to chase him out, and now we have to fight Dark Naruto. So this fight is similar to the My Guy fight. Dark Naruto is pretty aggressive, and I have to be defensive for most of the match. The hardest part is managing my chakra because Dark Naruto doesn't like it to sit still. Getting my chakra by attacks can be really difficult, and I use a new item that I equipped called the Lightning Kunai to paralyze them and get some free damage off. Even though I should have just charged some chakra back though. This is where I restarted the battle because I count Naruto's tip to be a physical attack, and that is against the rules, so I just started the fight over. If you do notice, Dark Naruto loves to grab and use his tilt for some reason. I don't really know why, but he goes for it a lot and when he's up close to me. But after a bit on the second attempt, Dark Naruto eventually goes down with a Rasengan. The fight ends with Dark Naruto talking to Isha and him spinning some facts about how most of the villagers are fake. Naruto decides to go to B and see if he can get a hint for defeating his darkest self. B decides that if Naruto can defeat him in a fight, he will tell him how to deal with his darkest self. So before this fight, I healed fully because the last fight against Dark Naruto and was kinda close in this battle. The main thing to worry about is B's melee range. Because of the weapon that he picked off of Kisame, he got some range with it, especially with his tilt move, moving like a snake. Other than that, it's the same as the last 2 fights, trying to survive and use my items as I see fit, getting some spacing when necessary, using Rasengan towards the end of the fight, and eventually B goes down. So after the fight, Killer Bee gives Naruto his answer, so now Naruto knows what to do, and he heads back to the Waterfall of Truth to fight Dark Naruto one last time. So the fight is basically the same as the last one. He does the exact same things as last time, spamming tilts and grabs, which for some reason I just let him get away with it sometimes. But overall we did a lot better compared to the first time, and I did use a giant Rasengan at some point during the fight, doing some good damage. Also, Dark Naruto tried to use a Rasengan Shuriken, but I just straight up blocked it, and it doesn't take long to take Dark Naruto down. So after Naruto used Taro no Jutsu on himself, he joins Killer Bee and Yamato behind the waterfall, and this is where we got to fight the 9 tails to try to control his power. They go to a spacious room, so if the 9 tails got out of hand and Naruto fails, Killer Bee will be able to reseal the 9 tails if need be. So Naruto goes up to the 9 tails, removes the seal, and now we have to fight the 9 tails. So this is another choice battle. We can either get Killer Bee's help with the 9 tails, or we could go completely solo and just rely on our own strength. Killer Bee has a physical support moves, so we can't really rely on this help, so we go the legend route. even though I probably would have just chose the legend route anyways just to make it a challenge. This is by far the longest battle so far. This battle will be a test of endurance more than anything, and by the way, stuff like poison tags, lightning kunais, and stuff like that don't work on the Ninetales, so doing any special effects on them at all won't work. He also has 4 health bars, and he has 2 phases. So, the Ninetales got a few moves at his disposal in the first phase. He has a Tail Beast Volley that he could shoot upwards, and if it raised down the opponent, or he could just straight up shoot it at the character. For the upwards volley, it isn't that hard to dodge, just pay attention to it where it goes, and so you won't get trapped. As he rains down the bombs, he can get tired, and that's when you would do a counter attack. And for the one that just goes towards you, you can just sidestep and you should be good. Then he has a move where he raises his right arm, and then he slams it on the ground. The best thing to do is to sidestep it and not block it because you will get a guard broken state, and you can't move for like 5-ish seconds. He also has a swiping attack, and the best thing to do is to double jump or do a backflip to avoid the attack. When you get into a second bar of health, he starts adding a few things to his arsenal. So instead of the Ninetales just standing in one spot and shooting 3 tail beast bombs like before, he can now shoot 9 of them. And if he wanted to, he could really just move around and shoot 3 of them at a time. Then he has 2 new attacks. One is where he jumps off the screen and then he'll try to land on you and do some damage. And you have to sidestep and you should be okay. And for the other one, he runs out the battlefield as well and circles around, but he will leap towards you instead. It's the same thing as the other move, so you could dodge it the same way. Other than that, everything else is the same, and once his health gets low enough, we are finally done with the first phase. So, the end of the first phase ends with Naruto doing a sumo wrestle with a Ninetales. Long story short, Ninetales was like, nah, you ain't getting my chakra. He tries to corrupt him. Kushina, which is Naruto's mom, saves him, and long story short, now we're back in the fight for the second phase. So, now we have Kushina as a support. She can stop any attack the Ninetales tries to do, and that will come in clutch in certain situations. So, in this phase, the Ninetales still has his horizontal tail beast bomb attack and his swipe attack. Same as the first phase, you can just dodge it the same way and you should be good. Also, he has a tail beast beam where he'll pick a spot and try to follow the beam towards you. You could just sidestep it left or right or even sub it to avoid it, but obviously just choose what you want to do. You want to do this challenge. Also, he has this slam down move with his tail, and you will do it up to like 4 times. But after the 4th time, you could click triangle if this was a Noah playthrough. But since he will do like a physical attack by throwing the Ninetales, I believe, or pulling the chakra out, it's physical and it's optional, so we won't be doing that. Next, we have an attack where he can send shockwaves at you, and he will do like a slice attack where it will go towards you. You can sidestep it, or you can jump it depending on which move is coming out. And now here comes the main part of the fight that just kinda just hurted my soul when fighting this boss.
No! 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 Oh, man! Oh, okay, wait, where's this? Does this restart me right here? If so, I'm not gonna allow me to do that. Okay. I'm not going to retry from here because I just feel like that's cheat, right? And look how badass I look. So we're gonna restart the battle from the beginning.
So yeah, I have to redo the fight from the beginning because otherwise I felt like starting at that point was cheap. By the way, I like to point out this fight, this is the first attempt, right? That fight took 27 minutes. That's a long time. So getting back to that phase, and even getting past this first phase, is gonna at least take a half of that time. So like, yeah, that's why I was really sad at that moment. We do get back to the second phase, but we do actually end up dying again, which sucks. So like at this point, I'm just like, I am not trying to go through another potential 20 something minutes and just to die again. So I just decided to fully lock in, went full concentration. I was not talking anymore, which you won't even really hear me talking anyways. And because of this fight took so long, I'm gonna just kind of let it play out and how it worked out in the end. So the quick time event kicks in, we play tug of war with the Ninetale Fox, we mash our way to victory, and now we finally have the Ninetales of Chakra. And this is where I'm going to end part 1. Originally I wanted to do this whole challenge in one run, but knowing how the future fights are going to be, since I've already done it, it's just not possible with Shift Factor because at most I could do is like an hour and like 30 minutes before I run out of space to do anything. So I will do a part 2. And let's just see how that goes. Let me know if there was any issues with the video, stuff like that, things I could improve on, like music, video clipping, and stuff like that. But other than that, I'll see you just guys in part 2. Make sure you hit that like button and that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.